Hello, everyone. This hour on Verbling, the next in my not great short story series, the next in my Getting Results in Business series, we're going to be doing our outsourcing work. In this class, we're going to put together our skills. You will present an opportunity to outsource based on the case study. You'll have to weigh up options in a group meeting and decide what we should do in terms of outsourcing for the situation that's presented. And in doing so, you'll use the vocabulary, the key expressions, and the passive voice that we worked on yesterday. All of those skills will be used in this class. That's a bit about the class. Here's me at your hanging out in Portugal in this class. By the way, 3 quick rules to help you. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up. That means turn off your microphone when you're not speaking so we can keep the classroom quiet. Tune in to the new words you're learning when you are speaking so I can correct you and give you feedback. Finally, open up to your classmates. Relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. And now, I'm going to give you the last presentation from this unit. Give me just a second to open it up, and you'll see it on screen. You can go to class material to download it to your computer or open it up in the browser. Do I have the right one? Yes, I do. Here it is. There we go. Case study. So in the case study, we're going to put together all of our skills in one place. And we're going to start, as we always do, we're going to start by getting an opinion from someone out there in the field. And we're going to try to use that to think about the issues at stake. Okay? So, let's say hello to our returning heroes, Sylvia, Daniel, and Raphael. Oh, all familiar faces. By the way, is there a holiday today? Seems very quiet. Is it because of Halloween? What's that?
And I was changing my PC.
Oh, okay. It seems very quiet on Verbling today.
Hello?
Is everyone on... Hello, Daniel?
Okay.
Is everyone on vacation today?
Tomorrow the teachers won't have to work.
Really?
It's a day off, or it's a strike?
Day off for teachers only in Spain.
Oh, wow.
And
Really?
Saturday is the day off for everybody.
Saturday is the day of All Saints.
Yes.
Which, in America, we don't know what that is. That's a holiday, but not in America. Halloween is a holiday. Not really a holiday. Something.
It's a commercial holiday.
In Spain is the day of All Saints.
And what do you do on that day?
Nothing special.
Nothing special. Talk to your saint,
Yeah.
I guess. Okay. Well, in this class, we're going to finish up with outsourcing by actually having an outsourcing meeting. So, we're going to start with the expert view. We need to identify the concept that our expert is getting us to think about, the opinion that he has, or he or she, and this is a she actually, Ashley, and then we're going to use that to help us figure out what solution is best in the outsourcing situation we have. So we're going to read an opinion from Dr. Ashley Braganza, Director at the Center for Organizational Transformation at the Cranfield School of Management. And take a look at that picture of the Russian dolls. That might be important as we read. What do you think, Raphael? Are you up for reading?
Yeah, sorry.
Go for it.
I think the Russian dolls is a metaphor about what is an outsourcing perspective. Behind,
Could be, yeah.
inside one doll, you can find another doll, and you can outsource everything, almost at the secretary and the copier, everything. You can outsource everything.
You absolutely can, because secretaries are now often virtual. You can have even a personal virtual assistant, your own private secretary. There's places you can, even as an individual, you can do that. So I agree completely with the metaphor. Well, Raphael, why don't you read the expert view for us, and we'll talk about it as a class.
Okay. Sí, what?
What happened?
The expert view
No.
are too perspective to every outsourcing deal. Outsourcing is seen as a quick and easy way for customers to reduce their cost. The main challenge is to create a contract that allows for changes over time. Often, the people who negotiate outsourcing contracts don't understand the business and its processes well enough to future-proof a contract. If changes to the original contract occur, cost saving can become cost increases. Suppliers provide a service and want to ensure a return on their investment. The main challenge is in fully understanding their customer, so they can adapt to changes in customers' needs over time without losing revenue.
What's revenue again?
Revenue, it's I think is the cost or the revenue is our revenues are.
Is it a cost?
No, they are the buildings and the state.
No, those would be assets. Those would be assets. The building, the property, those are all assets a company might have. But revenue, rather than cost, would be, well, it's the money that you generate. It can be income. It can be used for overhead. It doesn't matter what you use it for. But the point is, it's the money that's generated by the business. Doesn't necessarily have to be profit. It could just be whatever the transaction is. That's your revenue. Usually, we think about it as the income, but it could cover more things than that. All right. So our job is to first identify what is the expert. What's the advice we're being given here? Let me go to Daniel for that. If you had to summarize that into a single piece of advice, something we ought to think about to consider outsourcing, what is it, Daniel? What's she trying to get at? Can you give us the gist here? In your opinion, of course.
I think everything we see, it's not gold.
Like the Led Zeppelin song.
It's
just like Stairway to Heaven. Not everything that glitters is gold.
Yes.
Very, very poetic. Okay. There's a lady who's sure. Never mind. Go ahead. So not everything is gold. Okay. What do you mean by that?
Maybe the Dr. Ashley said that it's very easy for customer to outsourcing.
To do outsourcing.
To do outsourcing.
Either way, to do outsourcing or to outsource. Either way.
But in the outsourcing countries, they can to have problems for to obtain revenue because the cost of the process. More or less, I should read another.
Well, let's look at it like a structure, like a framework. outsourcing is seen as a quick and easy. There are two perspectives. There are two perspectives to every outsourcing deal. So there's two things. Every time we think we have an opportunity for outsourcing, we have to look at both sides. So we got to identify what the both sides are. The first is what? The first is obvious. I think the first is obvious. What do you think? Of our two perspectives. Outsourcing is seen as a quick and easy way to reduce costs. That's the obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We all agree on that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. What's the not so obvious one? Maybe Daniel, you've already said it. I don't know. Because this is where it goes to the next part where it says the main challenge. I think that's how Ashley Braganza is introducing the other perspective. Maybe the main challenge is to create a contract that allows for changes over time. Okay, now we're getting a different point of view. Often the people who negotiate outsourcing contracts don't understand the business and its process as well. Okay, so this is getting a little complicated. Well, if changes to the original contract occur, costs savings can become cost increases. Okay, now we have a huge problem.
For one, for customers or for outsourcing countries?
Outsourcing countries, I think.
Okay.
Do you agree with me, Sylvia, on this? We're talking about the contractees, and we are the contractor. We're the outsourcer. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course. For the who do the contract is useful.
Whoever does the contract is.
It's useful to outsourcing the company.
Absolutely right. Yeah, and the flip side is when you're making the contract, what's the complication? Is that part clear?
There are some cost increase after this one. No.
Right, and then it happens because we, as a contractor, we fail. Do what? Where do we often make mistakes?
Future proof of a contract?
Let's get some ideas. By the way, let me just say hello to Adi. Hello, Adi. Long time no see.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Where are you from again? It's been so long I don't remember.
I come from Indonesia.
Ah, okay, right. Yeah, I remember now. Now that you tell me, I actually do remember you saying that before. Okay, so what we're doing right now is getting a little bit of background from an expert about outsourcing, and then we're going to have an outsourcing meeting. So, Daniel rightfully said it's not that clear what the what the two perspectives are. So the first one is pretty clear. Outsourcing is to reduce costs. That's good for us as the outsourcer. And Sylvia rightfully pointed out that there's a problem for the person who gets the outsourcing job often. What I want to clarify is we, the outsourcers, if we are the outsourcers, we tend to make mistakes at contract time. I think that's the complication. What's the mistake, class? What's the mistake that we tend to make when we're future-proofing a contract? And why do we tend to make that mistake? Is that part clear?
Often people don't understand the business, and it.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track. Yep.
Yes. So by outsourcing, by outsourcing, I think the main business, your business, might be change, might change, and
yeah.
Yes.
Change how? For the better or for the worse?
uh, it might change to the better, to be better. Cost, you can save the cost for your business, and and you can get a new invest by outsourcing.
Okay, that's the positive side. But Ashley Braganza is warning us about the negative side, and that's this idea of future proofing. Future proofing. Well, Raphael, what do you think about future proofing? By the way, Yuki, what you said is fine. There's no problem. I'm just saying let's look at both sides.
I'm not on the right track, sorry.
No, that's fine. That is the positive side. Raphael, what do you think about future proofing? That's the warning she's giving us.
I think when you are making, as Desper says, is you need to look at the long run. You need to look at with a future perspective. What are you signing your contract? Because business can change, and you need to how to deal with the new contract and with the new develop of the business. And you need to have this perspective when you are outsourcing something.
Yeah, right from the beginning, right? Right at the start, right when you make the contract. If you have that perspective when you make the contract, then you will future-proof the contract. I think that's exactly right. And what happens is, what Ashley Braganza is trying to say in this little paragraph is just that if we're outsourcing, it may be because we don't understand that part of the business. Therefore, we make bad contracts. Therefore, we learn expensive lessons. We have to pay extra because things don't go well. So I think that's the gist of the expert view. Listen, let's move on. We're going to use this idea of future-proofing in the next section. All right, so we're going to read a little background about an outsourcing situation, and then we'll be making a decision based on what we read. I've got two questions for you at the end. What were the advantages of outsourcing IT software for this company, Colgate-Palmolive? And what factors do companies need to consider when choosing a provider of outsourcing services? Those questions are going to be on page 4 if you open the material. But first, we're going to read page 3. And Adi, since you're joining us after a break, I'd like you to read first if you could. Could you do the first 2 paragraphs for us? Let's find out about the situation in Russia.
Okay.
Go for it.
Outsourcing work expand in Russia. Expand is Central and Eastern Europe's biggest IT outsourcing provider. It has development facilities in Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, and Hungary. Expand has successfully developed software solutions for a wide range of industries in over 30 countries worldwide. One of its clients is Colgate-Palmolive.
Right, it's a famous
Palmolive.
company in America. Colgate makes toothpaste, and Palmolive makes like soap. Colgate-Palmolive.
Colgate-Palmolive.
Uh-huh.
To help sales representatives manage a large portfolio of customers, products, and promotional materials, Colgate-Palmolive wanted a software application that provided up-to-date information on demand to every salesperson on offices in 30 countries. Expand developed a software application that
Well, we're going to give some other people a chance to read too.
Yes.
By the way, it's not SPAM. It's EPAM or EPAM. I don't know. There's no S. Yeah, that's it. Okay. All right. Well, Daniel, can you tell us about the 3 things that they wanted from their software? Can you
Yes.
read it? Go for it.
Provide sales people with customer, product, availability, promotional, order status, and reporting information. Saves costs by replacing the global paper mailing of tens of thousands of products, updates, and reports each month. Enables a salesperson with a laptop computer to collaborate with internal contacts.
Internal.
Internal
Yeah.
contacts. Manage customer calls. Manage and track sales goals. Access a product encyclopedia. Enter and monitor orders. Analyze sales data and enter and process orders online with no processing delays.
Okay. And tell us the results, Sylvia, at the very end.
As a result, Colgate-Palmolive's sales force has become more efficient and effective, especially in dealing with multiple languages, currencies, and promotions. This, in turn, has increased staff morale. The variety of tools and options has increased sales staff's product knowledge and improved their accuracy. This has led to greater productivity.
Okay, great. But there's one word that's very important with pronunciation. Morale.
Morale.
Because if you say it the other way, it'll sound like moral, which is a totally different word, right? Do you know the difference between moral and morale?
No.
Someone help us out here. What's the difference between moral without the E and morale that ends with E? Someone help us out.
In this case was the feeling of the staff.
The feeling of the staff is the morale. That's it. And moral is your sense of right and wrong. So it's a different word. Moral and morale. Okay? Are we all clear? Yeah? Okay. Well, Sylvia, why don't you start us off here? What were the advantages?
There are the three. Okay. Provide salespeople with customer. These 3 points: save cost by replacing the global paper, and enables a salesperson.
Enables the salesperson to do what?
To collaborate with internal contracts.
Mm-hmm.
That's the 3 points.
All right. So, does anyone know about this kind of software? It's called SAP, S-A-P.
Yes.
I'm familiar with this. It's a standard program.
Now it is, yeah. At the time, this might have been new, but now it's pretty standard. And what does SAP do for us? Go ahead, Yuki. What does it do for us?
SAT is a standard decision-making process.
We're talking about the software, right?
Yes, it's a software that enable companies to be standardize the operation. I don't know, process of budget planning, budget making.
Okay,
but
well,
I don't know precisely.
Let's get the acronym clear first, not the acronym, the initials. SAP is Special Access. Maybe I mean there's more than one way to say what that is. Maybe that's actually a bad definition. Sorry. Oh no, maybe that's a bad one. But what I mean is, in the palm of your hand, let's say you've got your little iPhone there, you can see in real time all of the data of the company. So actually maybe I'm pulling up the wrong.
I think I thought another things. SAP I thought SAP is a standard accounting program.
No, I don't mean that.
It's a standard process of accounting.
No, not here.
Every country have their own system of accounting. So
but it's not accounting. Not here. No.
Not there. Sorry.
No. Here, it's access to data, And at the time when this material was written, it was kind of a new thing, but now it's more standard. The idea is this. You take out your mobile phone, let's say, and you need to know how many active customers are in the client database, right? Boom, you press a button, it's there. You need to know if you're running a deficit today. You press a button, it's there. It crunches the numbers in real time for you. I think that's what they're going for. And I wrote standard account, I wrote special access, but to be honest with you, maybe it's different. Maybe I have the wrong, I might have the wrong name, but I forgot what it stands for. It's a great idea. It's a really good idea if they work. Of course, someone has to be doing the data entry. You have to have someone getting all this data in real time into the database, or there's no way you can access it. But I believe that's what they're going for here. Okay, so the second question is, what factors do companies need to consider when choosing the provider? This is really more of an opinion question. And Adi, what do you think about this? I don't know if you have experience with outsourcing, but how would you answer number 2, in your opinion?
What factors do companies need to consider when choosing a provider of outsourcing services? I never worked for any outsourcing companies, but as my own opinion, we should to consider about how the contracts work. So, because while we work in outsourcing company, we sometimes we cannot to be full time. I don't know how to say it in English, but I mean is we cannot stay for a long time in that company because we are all be as an employee, as a contract employee.
Short-term
employee.
Yeah, that's it. So in other words, you might only be doing a job for one project, and therefore they might not know you very well, you might not know them very well. I think that's what you're getting at. Is that the idea?
The contract, how clear the contract is.
Right.
So,
yeah, keep going.
Clarity about the contract, and also about the salaries, about when we are finish contract, what we gonna.
All right. So terms and I'll say payments or compensation. Maybe I'll say compensation. So that's pretty much what you've mentioned. It's because these people are not permanently with the company, we might not understand the business, we might make mistakes, we have to future-proof the contracts by really clarifying the contracts, the terms, the work terms, the payment, or the compensations. Okay, I agree, that's a really big part of it. It's not everything though. So if we look at that question, what factors do companies need to consider when choosing a provider of outsourcing? Contract clarity is absolutely one of the factors, for sure. Is everything well defined in the contract? So I agree with that. What other factors might we mention too? Class, what other factors?
Reliability. Company is reliable about providing constantly without fail service to client company.
Okay, so their track record, sometimes we call that track record. How well have they done? Do you really know them? Because when you're outsourcing, you're kind of gambling, right? You might not have a long-term relationship.
There often exist unreliable companies. they neglect contract.
And if you're outsourcing, how enforceable are the contracts anyway? If
Yes.
it's two countries that have nothing to do with each other, what can you do if something goes wrong?
Yes.
All right. And anyone else want to add anything? Raphael, Sylvia, Daniel, any other things we might consider?
Quality of the final product.
Okay. Tell me about the quality.
The
Whoops. I was trying to write it on the screen and I wrote it in the wrong place.
product is well done, well made, well
Okay. So you mean quality
manufactured.
assurance. You mean that the outsourcing company, you need a way to guarantee quality assurance, that they're going to be producing what you want them to produce the way you want it produced. All right. Okay. And Adi, were you adding something? Someone was talking and I cut you off.
I think we have to consider about their human resource.
Okay. In what way?
The human resource who work in the outsourcing company. Yes.
Okay. It's a good idea, but what do you mean? You mean if the human resources company, the human resource department is...
I mean, if we want to choosing a provider of outsourcing services, we have we have to know the the human research who work in that company.
Because they'll help us with things, with our relationship. Is that what you...
Because sometimes there are in a country since service not only service for giving us the product but also giving us the human resource, the employer,
the skills, yeah.
The skills.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
The human resource skills, we have to know about the skills of their employer.
Okay, very good. So expertise is one issue, right? And whether or not it's like, that goes back to what Daniel was saying, quality assurance. Is the expertise guaranteed? I mean, how much of a gamble are you going to take? So I'm going to say guaranteed. Is the expertise guaranteed? Do you really have the quality, the skill level to do the job? Okay, and also, what about the country itself? Stability. Is the company and is the country it's working in stable? There's a lot of conflicts around the world. If you're doing serious business, you found a great solution in a country where things are cheaper. Oh, that's another thing, is reduced costs. Is it cheaper but politically unstable, or is it cheaper?
Cost is a very big factor. Lower, if cost is high, it doesn't make profit. So.
And if the cost is low, but the situation is unstable, you don't have any product at all. Things could fall apart, right? So we've got stability, lower cost, guaranteed expertise.
The effectiveness is also important. Service is enough, should be enough effective to be useful for client company.
Okay, and I'm going to add one more idea. Go ahead.
Products and service should be enough effective for conducting client business.
Yeah, that's quality assurance. I think that there must got to be some way to know in advance that you're going to get what you're asking for from them, that it will be effective. Let me add one more thing. Language. That's a big problem with outsourcing, is language. you don't understand them, they don't understand you.
That's
So
why India became one of big outsourced country, a country that have outsourcing from many companies.
absolutely, because English is the official language, if I'm not mistaken.
Only one problem is
If you
that
don't mind.
it is difficult to understand what they are saying. They have a accent.
Sometimes, yeah. And Raphael, what were you saying? I couldn't hear
Yeah,
you.
the first thing I think is important, at least for me. If you don't manage the terms, it's so difficult to talk because I think there are people that have more advanced level and they talk every time. And if you don't manage the terms, it's so difficult to talk in your classes. I think it's important to deal with this. You need to stabilize terms because if not, people who I am talking about me, if we have level less level, it's so difficult to talk. Please,
How
this,
could
this is my opinion.
sure.
Continues on the line. I think the interaction between the company and the outsourcing company could be one of the most interesting points because they need to understand what to deal with the business, how to increase the productivity, and also have an interaction with the staff and with the employees to trying to catch what is the most important point in this business.
Okay,
Interaction could be another one.
interaction. Um, it's a good point, but I don't understand exactly what you mean. We should be managing the interaction, or we should just be concerned about it, or is it something that we should be doing?
I think in a company, the interaction between the outsourcers,
Uh-huh.
and I was thinking in how the other people, outsourcers,
Uh-huh.
can understand what the business run, and this interaction between the staff and the outsourcing company could be one of the most interesting points.
Absolutely. But in practical terms, what are we actually doing? Is that a communication issue, or is that a protocol? What do you have in mind?
Communication, perhaps.
Okay. Yeah, I think that, as you said, establishing terms could mean that there's a company standard language for the business that you have to do, and that's a good point. Yeah, good way actually to future-proof your contract, that everyone knows this term is we're going to use. It means always this, and everyone should be aware of that language. That's a good point. Well, let's keep some of these ideas in mind. What we're going to do is we're going to actually have a meeting ourselves. So, a large company, European company, is currently considering outsourcing part of its software development to EPAM's facility in Russia. You have been asked to research the advantages of Russia as an outsourcing location. Don't be biased here. And to provide an example of a successful project organized by EPAM. Your task is to present your research to senior management and persuade them to outsource. You have to persuade them that outsourcing is a good idea. Okay, that's our task. Yuki, you start. We're going to read through this quickly, and then we're going to start our meeting. Could you take the first text there about what we have to do?
Okay. First point, yeah?
Yeah, just
No?
read. We're just going
Just
to
read.
read through this quickly, and then so we all know the information. So
Work
what do we
with.
have to do? Point
No.
one. Read.
Point one. Read the information about Russia and refer to the EPAM text above. Brainstorm ideas for your presentation. Number 2,
Yep.
prepare your presentation, including one or two visuals. 3, give your presentation to the class.
All right. We're not going to do the visuals, or there's no time, but we can prepare a presentation. Maybe we can do it in a follow-up class, but it's going to be a group effort here. So now that we know what we got to do, I hope it's clear. Let's get some information about some of the advantages. So here at the bottom, let's go back to the top of the class. All right. So let's everyone just take one. We'll go around the room. I'll do the first one. Advantages of Russia versus Asia. These are things that you're going to talk about, right? These are things you're going to talk about in your effort to persuade. The first one is Russian business hours are in better sync with the US and Europe. Daniel, keep going. What's the next one?
Russia is physically closer to US and Europe. More face-to-face interaction possible.
Okay, good. If there's any questions, just ask at any time, okay? Adi, next one.
Okay, sorry. Russia is physically closer to US and Europe. More face-to-face interaction
Next one.
possible.
Next one.
Which one?
Next one.
Russia has a culture affinity with Europe and US.
That's it. Keep going.
By 2007, Russia will have 5% market share of software outsourcing revenue. More than
Oh, sorry. So as you can see, this material is a little bit out of date because 2007, that was quite a while ago. Let's just pretend that it's 2017, something like that. Okay, Raphael, next one.
More than 250 global companies are active in Russia, based offshore software development.
Okay, Shadow, want to take the next one? We're just getting some points for our presentation. See where we are? If you're not sure, we'll skip you and come back. I don't hear Shadow. So Sylvia, the next one?
Currently, Russia ranks number 3 in the number of scientists and engineers per capita worldwide.
Per capita means?
Per person.
Per person, right. Okay, Yuki, next.
Per person.
Per
Sorry,
capita.
I'm lost.
The third from the bottom.
Okay. There are approximately 250,000 IT professionals in the country.
Okay. Then it says the number of newly graduated IT specialists has risen by 11% this year. Daniel, last one.
Scientific talent has attracted Western companies to open development centers in Russia. Intel, Sun, Motorola, Siemens.
And that's it. These are all points that we're going to consider. And just to, if I turn the page, you've got some useful phrases from the practically speaking section, and you've got your business skills there as well on page 10. So these are all things that you should use proactively in creating the presentation. So there's more than one way we can do this. One way we can do it is that each of you do a short presentation and we comment on each other's presentations. Another way is that we can prepare a group presentation, or still another way is that we brainstorm how to do the presentation and then you try it on your own and we can hear it in a coming class, or you can send it as a recording or as a text. In that case, we prepare it as a group and then you individually put it into practice. So it's really up to you what you think is best here. I do think we should do the brainstorming together, though. Okay, we need to figure out how to persuade. It's Palmolive, right? A large European company. We're not Palmolive, but we are a large European company. We need to persuade senior management that outsourcing to EPAM is a good idea. So let's do a little bit of brainstorming together. Based on the advantages, one thing we haven't seen are maybe the disadvantages. So I think if I were doing this as a brainstorming meeting, I would say these advantages are great. Let's talk about the possible problems. We need to future-proof. Remember that? We need to future-proof our relations and our contracts. Future-proofing. So I think we ought to do a little bit of future-proofing right now. What is sync? What's the question?
Yes. What's the meaning of sync?
Sync.
The first advantage.
Daniel, you were saying?
Sincronizar.
Synchronized. Synchronized.
So is it about the different hour from one country to another? I don't know the English name. Yeah. GTM is this the meaning?
Yeah. It says better in sync. That means closer to the time zone of US and Europe. And in fact, yeah, it's only 2 hours or 3 hours difference depending on where you are with Europe. So more in sync. More in sync means closer, synchronized in any way. In this case, it's synchronized in terms of time. We could say sync. Sync is about being in rhythm, in sync. Boom, 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 boom. We're doing things according to the rhythm of someone else or another group. But here, it really means time. So, thank you all for coming to our meeting. As you know, our goal is to persuade senior management to outsource to EPAM, and we've seen a few advantages. What I'd like to hear from everyone are some potential problems that might occur. And as you talk about these, I want you to think about the key language in 9 and 10. You might want to turn to pages 9 and 10 as you're formulating your answers and your ideas. Okay? So what are some things we should consider to future-proof our relations with EPAM if we outsource to them?
I think there are one disadvantage that we need to take in account if we are invest or develop this project in Russia. Russia has not a political and stabilized situation, and we need to consider this political situation in our develop. Could be.
Stability, right. Stability, right, Raphael?
Yeah.
Is that it? Okay. Okay, let's get some ideas from the group. I don't know if Russia is really all that unstable. There's definitely conflicts around the world. Well, the US is involved in many conflicts too. What do we think about the political stability of outsourcing to a Russian company?
I don't I don't I do not I would not recommend to Russia invest to Russia now. I think now very few American and European companies want to connect to Russia. Unfortunately, many think that Russia is too dangerous because of their political factor, because of their because politically, geopolitically, you they might lose their money. It is too unstable situation politically. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Okay. Sylvia, were you going to add something?
Is it real?
It
Is
is
what?
true.
Is it true?
I live here and I feel that, but I can't say loudly in public
But
space.
well, here you can.
Maybe I'll be purged.
As long as no one watches the video, you can say whatever you want.
Oh, it's dangerous.
I don't think they watch YouTube.
I'll be able to.
It's okay.
I'll not be able to join classes
They're going to come and get you, Yuki.
more.
Look out. Well, Sylvia, what do you think? Although it might be politically unstable, these advantages look pretty enticing. What do you think, Sylvia?
I think there is another problem. In winter, Russia is really, really cold, and so they need to close the factory for a long period.
So production might be a little bit lower than what we would hope.
Yeah, and the effect of this is close for 1 month, 2 months, the factories.
Okay.
That's right.
I'm joking. I don't know.
It's not joking. It's a fact. It often happens.
Okay, but on the other hand, Russians are educated, and if they're educated, at least statistically, they have a higher level of education than many other countries. I mean, a very high level of education. So, it would mean that we're paying less to get more qualified workers.
That's true. In the period of Soviet Union, almost all people could receive a high education. Many of Russian people graduate university or college. But in terms of cost, I think it is not so good condition. Now, average salary for Russian workers raised much in comparison with 10 years ago. So it is not so differ from Japanese salary. So I think regarding cost, it's not so advantage.
Well, that presents us with a problem because our task is to convince the company that it's a good idea. So, what we've got to do is take these disadvantages, and we've got to prove that they're not really going to be obstacles. We've got to try to do that. So, looking at stability, weather, and productivity, and finally, rising labor costs. I think that's what you're getting at, Yuki. The labor costs have risen. What do you think? What can we say to if we're going to be challenged on those points? Okay, so Shadow and we're going to try to convince senior management. What do you think we could say to clear up any doubts people would have in those areas? Because this will be part of your presentation. So what could we say to meet the challenges? Any ideas?
Sorry, teacher. You want me to talk about disadvantage raising global costs?
If you have another disadvantage, absolutely tell us. But my question is, if you have one, yeah, go ahead. Do you have another disadvantage?
I think we have to talk about the legal things that, I mean, the laws that protect outsourcing companies. Sorry. If there is a law protect them, I mean, give them their rights. I think there's a legal issue in Russia.
Hey, what is it?
I don't know, but I think that
we have to be aware of it. Well, the only thing I would worry about is, are the contracts going to be fulfilled? And if something happens politically, right? If something happens politically, what happens then to our work? Like if Russia decides not to send gas to the Ukraine, to Ukraine, and there was a contract in place and they broke the contract, I don't know if that is really what happened, if they broke a contract, where is the compensation? People can't just do things with no repercussions. So my concern for legal issues would be, is there a legal framework in case things go wrong? That would be my main concern. But since you brought it up, Shadow, the important thing for us is just to answer the doubts if anyone is worried about it. So what could you say to senior management to persuade them not to worry about the legal issues? Do we have any resources?
I searched about it. Just a minute. Look, teacher. He said the Russian parliament is giving serious thought to banning outsourcing.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Does that mean banning receiving outsourcing or banning doing outsourcing?
No, they said banning outsourcing.
Mm-hmm. So that
because
could mean
I think they care a lot about sensitive information about their country. I don't know how it's related to that. It's like that.
So there's a concern that they're not going to want to share information, basically. Well, we have to. We still have our task, which is to convince senior management. So we've got to think of something to say. So we've got 4 disadvantages. We've got a lot more advantages. So what's our argument going to be? Raphael, what do you think? What's our fundamental argument in favor of outsourcing?
I think one of the most interesting contra-argument to this disadvantage could be political situation is always the same in Russia, and you need to manage with it. And we can find different approach to this situation. Also, it could be an advantage for us because if the political situation have an influence in our business, we can change we can try to do different approaches and try to deal with it. It's not a big deal, this political situation in this business. Could be.
Well, I think that's the right approach because our task is very clear. We have to persuade the management it's a good idea. So, in other words, if I understand you right, Raphael, you're saying there's problems everywhere, and we just have to deal with it because if we go somewhere else to save money, there's going to be another set of problems. And so we just have to prove that these problems are not insurmountable. They're not impossible. Okay. So flexibility on our part should be one of the answers. Is that the main point? We should learn to be flexible. Okay. So we can put that down. If problems arise, I'll put this in the chat window. If problems arise, we need to have some flexibility. We need some flexibility. Because there's going to be problems everywhere. Okay, this is definitely something you can address in a presentation. Are there any other things we could say to convince senior management? Besides the disadvantages, let's see what we can say to convince people that it's worth it. Anything else we want to add?
I don't find a positive factor.
We have a problem then.
Russia has a vast land, so there are plenty. You can get land with cheaper cost if it were, especially in Siberia.
How will that help us with IT, though? We're outsourcing. Maybe you're right. Hold on a second. Considering outsourcing, part of it's software development. So
will that help with software development? In other words, do we need a lot of land for software development?
No, I think it is not so. Land
Okay.
is not so needed.
No. But I think the level of expertise is one of the strong arguments here. We could say that there's a lot of expertise and that language skills are not impossible, not so bad. That people are educated, so they should be good at their jobs, and they should be able to communicate reasonably well. I think that's an argument we could make.
Russia is well known as a country which have a lot of excellent hackers. So excellent skill of hacking. So if you want to create a company of virus, computer virus checking,
Antivirus?
Antivirus software, it is a very good place to. Russia is the best option to invest to outsource because you can hire a high skilled computer engineer in that field.
Okay, so you agree with me. Expertise is something we can definitely find there, particularly cyber security specialists. They know what they're doing because they've hacked into everything. Oh, that should say specialists. Okay, here's my question for you. Will you be able to create a short presentation with these ideas and convince me as your senior management, or no, we're going to convince Yuki. You're the skeptic, Yuki, so you have to play the part of senior management. We have to convince Yuki that outsourcing to EPAM is a good idea. So, are you going to be able to do that? What I'd like you to do is prepare just the outline, and in the outline you might want to put some key phrases that you're going to use, but just prepare the outline. The outline has to compare and contrast advantages with disadvantages. That's really the only thing you need to do. And I'd like to hear it in a future class, maybe the next class. So what I'm going to ask you to do is use the key expressions on page 10. This on page 9 is for when we're actually doing the presentation if we need it. I don't think it'll come up. But on page 10, you can use those points specifically. What I'd like you to do is a very short 1 to 2 minute presentation where you try to convince our senior management, Senior Yuki, that this is really a good, that this is really going to be worthwhile, save our company money and give us a level of expertise we wouldn't normally have. Are you up for the challenge, Sylvia, Shadow, and Raphael? Not for today, but for the next class. Are you up for the challenge?
Okay.
Yes.
We got the challenge.
I wait your opinions.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to send you this as a kind of a homework. I'll give you a link to these key expressions. I want you to use them actively. And do your best to try to convince Yuki. Yuki, you're going to be constructive, but you're not going to let them get away with flimsy arguments here. We're going to see how well we can do. And I'll send that to Daniel. I think Daniel disappeared. And that's it. I've got another homework to send you as well, because I want you to practice the passive voice. Because yesterday, we saw that the passive voice was really important in doing a formal presentation. And don't forget, presenting visual information. That was a major part of the unit. If you can put up a real or fake graph when you're doing a presentation, doesn't have to be real, anything, it would be a superb practice of those skills because we did a lot of referring to visual information in the unit. So it would be great if you could maybe have 1 or 2 visuals. Okay, if you can, share your screen, and I want to hear things like, well, let's turn now to this chart. What else did we say? You will notice that as labor costs have increased, I don't know what you want to say, but I'd like you to actively use visuals if you can in the presentation. Okay, any questions about what we're going to do next for the weekend? Are we all clear?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, all right. I'll write that up. I'll send it out to you, and we'll look at the results next week. Maybe we can do it on Monday, or I can do a few presentations throughout the week whenever you're ready to do them. Okay? That's the plan. Okay, I'm going to leave now. Tomorrow, there's one more class, but it won't be the business class. I haven't quite decided. So I have a grammar class, but I think I'm going to change it to a hot topics, a Halloween-related hot topics, maybe. If you have a suggestion, send me a message, and I'll see what I can put together tonight. Okay? So send me your suggestions. Bye for now,
Bye.
everyone. Talk to you
Bye
soon.
for now.
Happy Halloween if I don't see you.
Happy Halloween.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take